Hey everyone, my name is Seven Chauke and welcome to another YouTube video. And as we always say, please like, please subscribe, and most of all, I want to hear from you. So please put your comments so that I can able to understand how wrong I am. Because with all these videos that I'm going to put together right now, from video number one to whatever videos that I'm going to end from or end to, it's always me trying to understand how wrong I am in my thinking, in my biases, in my beliefs, in my value system, because I believe that, knowledge is a form of a river. You're always getting new water or new refreshment, and that's how knowledge is actually supposed to be. Now, with this particular video, I want to take a religious perspective regarding the issue of a sacrifice, because this is kind of like one thing that we don't talk about enough right now in society, and this has been perpetuated by the fact that we have started from just, being people that were communal. So, which means we'll share ideas, we'll share knowledge, you know, we'll share seeds, we'll share all of those things to a society of the individual. This is about me. You find even parents, they kind of like look for a way to put themselves ahead of their kids because they don't believe that they actually have to sacrifice for their kids. So a lot of people right now, and especially because of the way in which wealth or riches seems to be uh, get accumulated, meaning that the manner in which people become rich or they become financially independent, whatever the term is, it's kind of looks like, there's a magic formula, there is a pill, there's a technology, there is a way, there's a tool, there's a mindset that if I can just be able to get that tool, I can be able to be successful. And you look at this across even on the writing space, and you look into the speaking space as well. You have got success coaches, you have got, real estate coaches, you have got the self-esteem coaches. And this is not to put a shade on any of the things that I've mentioned, but what I'm trying to bring to your attention is that as a society, and this is across like the world, we have moved from, just being a communal society to an individual society. I mean, you go to where I'm from, which is the villages, and obviously these ideas, they still like resonate with people, but you can kind of like realize on a day-to-day basis that you find that it's a village, but people want to have their own piece of land where they build certain type of houses. So the idea of communal, living, it's kind of like slowly fading away from the reality that we maybe raised by, or that we were maybe used to as humans. And this creates so many problems, for us. One of the problems that it creates for us is that the more we concentrate on the individual, the more we increase the crime, the more we actually drive people into mental health issues that we have seen the rise since of social media. I speak about this on my book Digital Sabbath, to say that how does social media influence, our behavior? How does that impact our emotions? How does that impact the quality of our lifestyle that we lead on a day-to-day basis? So on this specific video, I want to talk about the idea of a sacrifice, because this is something that we have stopped talking about, in society. It's something that we're no longer paying attention to. There's just so many ways to get rich. Everyone wants to get rich. Everyone wants to live a certain lifestyle. Everyone wants to live in a certain neighborhood. Everyone wants to dress in a certain way. Everyone wants to have a certain car. So we are in a mess, if I can just say. Now, let's draw back to the Abrahamic stories, and I want to take just one single story from the book of Genesis. And we find the story where Abraham um, is called to go and make a sacrifice, right? And this idea of making a sacrifice, it's becoming something that it becomes very important. It's going to become a very theme in the book of Leviticus. In the book of First Kings, you see Solomon sacrificing. In the book of Chronicles, so you see the idea, the theme of sacrifice. You go to the book of Deuteronomy, so the idea of a sacrifice become a very important theme in the Old Testament. But let's draw our attention to this story of Abraham. that Abraham, he spends his life, he leaves his family, he takes his wife, and then he takes his livestock, and then he takes his nephew Lot, and he leaves his hometown and he leaves everyone. And with the promise that is living here, is promise that not only is he going to get a better uh, things ahead of him, he is going to become a father of nations. Right. Now, remember this time, Abram is not like a young man. He's 70, he's old. Actually, like his wife, I mean, even she's old as well. And I mean, if we're using the scientific term right now, we'll actually say that she's actually reached even menopause. And like, this is a very trifling idea to say, why is God making such a bet? And Abram is willing to make the bet, and he leaves his hometown. He goes to the place that God is going to show him. This is a very complex idea because, why is Jehovah God betting with Abraham to say, in the place that I'm going to show you? And this is what we now have learned to be a future for us. Modern life will say that, you know, I need to prepare for my future. What is that? Obviously you have got some plans on the paper, but you don't really know where that place is, right? You're just going somewhere. There's just a call to go somewhere, to leave your habits, to leave how you know to do things, and all of that, right? Now, let me not make the story very long, because this is the story that most of us were very much familiar. I'm going to obviously include the verse here. Now, something interesting happens, which is when Abraham receives this call to go and make a sacrifice, to sacrifice the son that God has given to him, which is Isaac, he wakes up early in the morning and he goes to a mountain that God is going to show him. He's going with his servants. He say, guys, you stay here, you tie the horses. Me and the boy are going to go up. So they go on top of the mountain. When they get there, actually on the way, Isaac asks, Dad, I see we have got everything here, but where's the lamb for the sacrifice? And Abraham makes a statement and say that God will provide for himself the sacrifice. But he knows that he has been told that he has to sacrifice Isaac, right? So this is kind of like where we derive the theme that Abraham is the father of faith, because there's just so many times that he has demonstrated that he believes that God is going to provide. He goes and get into the mount on top of the mountain. He tie his boy, takes out his knife, and is about to sacrifice him. And the voice says, Abraham, no, 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 no. Don't do that to your child. Now I know that you trust me. So because you trust me, look behind you. There's something that is wrapped behind you, which that's what I need to sacrifice instead of the boy. Don't harm the young man. Now, this is kind of like something that we imagine in the modern times, but we kind of like don't have an idea how to do it, right? We we and maybe it's constituted by the idea that we don't know if we should make sacrifices or not. We don't know what we should sacrifice to begin with, right? So it's kind of like, because we are in this circle or in this mess where we put so many ideologies about how to get ahead in life and how to live to the fullest of our potential, we don't know how to do it. We don't know, should we go to school? Should I get married? Should I have a business? Should I just stay home? We're kind of like so much deluded in what we need to do or what we need to become. So I wanted to make this call to say we cannot go away, or we cannot do away with the idea of a sacrifice. Even if we're not sacrificing the lambs and the goats, December is coming, people still do that. But the highest sacrifice that one can ever make is the sacrificing of their own desires. And the only way you can sacrifice your own desires is because you have got a perception of a better future. And a better future, it's a bet that you make against God, meaning you are telling yourself that if I can be able to hold on to this now, or to give up this moment, maybe another moment is going to be unlocked. Maybe if I take Isaac to the mountain, maybe something will be wrapped in the form of a sheep behind me. And this is kind of like what people don't understand. People actually want a surety that if I make a sacrifice, this is what's going to happen. And I'm promising you, unfortunately, that is not how sacrifices work. And this happens everywhere, whether it's a job, whether it's marriage, whether it's a family, all of us will have to sacrifice. You know, my parents, there are certain things that they have sacrificed for me. I will have to sacrifice something for my kids. I sacrifice certain moments for my friends. I mean, this is kind of like one thing that I have over and over again spoken to myself, where I say, being an adult, the most important thing about being an adult is your ability to make sacrifices. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with where you work. It has nothing to do with qualifications. But if you are able to make proper sacrifices, that's how you can actually determine if you're an adult or not. And we've seen that throughout the years, certain people making certain sacrifices. And no matter who you are, whether you are Abraham, whether you are Isaac, you have to make certain sacrifices for you to be able to unlock a new level of your existence. And this is kind of like one thing that we can actually take away from Abraham, the fact that he was actually willing to make the sacrifice for something that has taken him so much years to be able to get. Because sometimes that's what people prevent them from making sacrifices. They're like, I worked so hard for this. Abraham waited for a very long time up until his wife offered him an alternative. He said, what? I've gotten you a maid. Can you go on and make a child with? But remember, that was not part of the promise. The promise was that he actually has to bear a son out of his own seed. So that was still not going to work, because if that worked, it means that God was lying and God cannot lie, right? So this is the theme, and this is the point that I wanted to make with this video, to say we cannot do away with the idea of a sacrifice. Oh, obviously, when we look at society, there is wealth and lifestyle that's being acquired, whether in a form of bribery, whether in a form of, whatever form, killing someone or whatever. But guys, we must never be fooled, because this is why we need to sacrifice. Because sacrifice, you're betting against yourself, right? So that is replicable. And this is my worry with this present generation, to say we need to decide and design a model that can able to work for us. Because right now we're in a space where we don't know what to tell our kids, because maybe you went to school, you studied, you became an engineer like me, and then from now you're no longer making money out of engineering, or you're no longer making a living out of engineering, but now you're doing something else. So now it kind of like put a question to say, do I still have to go back to school? Or maybe you didn't go to school at all, but you've got a job and a business, and you're making a lot of money maybe out of business, right? And then it's still a question of saying that, okay, what are you going to say to your kids? But the issue of sacrifice, no matter who you are, whether you're in business or you've got a job, all of us needs to sacrifice. And the sacrifices that we make is the one that determines the life that we're going to have. But with what I've said and what I've checked and what I've researched, it looks like the ones that get ahead amongst us are the ones that sacrifice. So today, as I conclude this video, I want to ask you, what sacrifice are you going to make this week? Please comment below. See you on the next one. Cheers.